I think she is completely out of her depth with Alamo. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, she's so clever, she's gonna be fine, she's a smart girl. You're like, yes, Maddie is a smart girl. Alamo is fucking nuts. He's making a game out of playing with someone else's life. Like, that is, to me, a totally different level, and I don't really think Maddie is cut out for that. I hate to be right about this sort of thing, but I really have to know where y'all was coming from with saying that Maddie was finna be okay in this situation with Alamo. Like, what has she ever done that would give that she could go toe to toe with a sex trafficker? Be a high school mean girl? Listen, I have been very vocal and straightforward about the fact that I really, really wanted Maddie to come out on top, but I just did not see it for her. Like, I felt like she was way out of her depth. And the fact that she thought that there was something about her that would make her an exception to Alamo just didn't really even make sense to me, because it's never really been that way in the past for Maddie. Like, when you think about the power that she had over Nate when they were dating in high school, where he like kept coming back to her and stuff like that, even when push came to shove, like, he still strangled her, he still put a gun to her head. Like, that aura of like that brave face that Maddie puts on, and like that cleverness and that like charm that everybody was saying would be what would get her through the situation with Alamo, it doesn't really hold up when you're dealing with somebody who was like a legitimately abusive person. Now, obviously, we don't know exactly what happened between Maddie and Alamo in that hot tub. It is implied that something sexual happened, but we don't know. But I feel like that whole situation was Alamo's way of like asserting his dominance, because, yeah, he was taken by the fact that Maddie was clever and he was intrigued by her, but like we saw in his backstory, he was not about to let a woman outsmart him, and I feel like that's his way of making a woman feel like she's just one of the girls in his club, like he's the boss, like he's bringing her down to size, basically. He did not want Maddie to be confused and think that she was his equal in some way. And I feel like this situation can be seen as a sort of initiation for Maddie. Like, a lot of women and people in general, honestly, in like these underworld activities often have to go through a period where they are doing the job that is sort of at the bottom of the totem pole. Like, people who are drug dealers and then become kingpins, people who are madams, but at one point they were the ones that were getting pimped out. I'm not really sure if this is going to come with a come up for Maddie in the future, like Magic said, trade 1,000 bad days for a good life, or if Maddie's just gonna stay indebted to Alamo and that's just her life now. Because one thing about it, Alamo made clear, like, girl, you are just another woman to me, and he will have her on that pole if he sees fit. Moving on to the cash exchange, part of me is not surprised that Alamo did what he did, because it was very cowboyish and we all know how he sees himself. It was also very risky. I mean, like, what if that guy had just decided to shoot Maddie? Like, he, you know, like you shot one of mine, so I'm gonna shoot one of yours sort of thing, or even as an accident. I just feel like this whole situation with Nate and Naz was just like kind of sloppy. Like, everybody was obviously sick of just seeing Nate get his ass beat in every episode, but also, like, I don't know nothing about being a loan shark, but I just want to know, does this strategy normally work for Naz? Like, I understand you have to use intimidation tactics to get your bread. Y'all already cut his toe off, his finger off, ripped his toe off again, like beat his ass that other time, like all of that stuff happened. And then they moved on to Cassie, which was like, okay, a natural progression from where we were at after the wedding. But when a couple days went by and then they went and tied her up, first of all, while she was working and trying to get the money, and then called Maddie, like, now we're losing the plot, because now we're getting outside of like the main people who have incentive to actually get something done, right? Because, like, okay, you hold Nate hostage, that's her husband, that's Cassie's husband, so like, yeah, she's gonna do something. You're gonna call her manager to get the money, like, and what if she had said no? Was you gonna go kidnap Maddie too, who has absolutely nothing to do with this? Like, it just seemed like you are tying up all of the people that owe you money and are supposed to be getting you your money. Like, I truly feel like he would have got his bread back, or at least had some progression towards getting his bread back. I understand it's a loan shark situation, so they're not the most understanding people, but like, I feel like there would have been some progression had they just let Cassie work. Like, it had been, I know he said it had been 3 days, but 3 days is not that much in comparison to like what he got now, which is your life is over. I just feel like the way that the situation was handled was not conducive to actually getting your money back. Now, what's unclear to me is what is going to become of this storyline after the fact, because I just feel like it could not have been that easy as killing Naz, and like they didn't kill the other guy, I don't think, but like it could not have been that easy as like just shoot these two guys and then your debt is erased. Like, and I understand then it would have subsequently become Nate having to cover up the fact that he just killed people, but like, could there be a possibility of retaliation? Like, is this the extent of their operation, just Naz and his sidekick? Or like, what? But I feel like we also don't have time for that. But I also feel like it kind of doesn't make sense for it to just be like, these two guys disappeared. Like, there's nobody else involved. Because I was actually one of the people when everybody was like, Nate needs to buy a gun. Nate needs to buy a gun. I was like, well, I don't really see that solving his problems. But based on how things went in this episode, maybe that would have just solved his problems. I thought that if he killed that guy, then Naz might have other henchmen to send after him or something like that. But so I don't really know. I feel like we don't have time for it to be anything else but that. But also, who knows? And is there going to be an investigation into Nate's death? Like, he died in a crazy way. Like, how are they going to wrap that up? Or like, how are they going to explain that? And when I say explain it, of course I mean like to his family, and like just in general, you have to kind of have something to say when somebody who's like 23 dies. I feel like Nate's entire storyline this season was just like completely unnecessary. I wasn't 100% sure he was gonna die, because like when the snake started coming up, I was like, oh, the snake finna go in there. And then I looked up rattlesnake bites, because I was like, the suspense became too much. And then I saw that death from rattlesnake bites is actually kind of rare, but it's rare if you get immediate medical attention, because they have anti-venom. And obviously he did not have that. I didn't read that far, when I was watching it, because I just like clicked over to another tab real quick. So I thought that, okay, maybe it's going to be something scary, but he's not actually going to die. But then when they started digging him up and we wasn't hearing nothing, I was like, oh, he's gone. And like, I just feel so much for Maddie in this situation, because like, just why is she caught up in this? Why did she have to go through something so traumatic? And now it is like affecting her life moving forward. Like, she went into all of this debt for these two people who did her wrong, who dogged her out, who betrayed her. Like, it's just so crazy to me that this is what's become of this little triangle. Because like, I think towards the beginning of the season, when Nate was like, oh, my Maddie, we thought that we were gonna get like a love triangle situation, but now it's just like a complete and total horror story for anybody who even remotely likes Maddie's character. And it just did not have to be this way. And like, I feel for my girl, and I'm still holding out hope that she will come out of this at least a little bit okay. But like, when Rue tried to warn her by telling her like, oh, don't you have something to do, when Alamo showed up at the diner, and she was like, no, that was a warning sign, girl. But then when Rue followed up with a phone call, mind you, Rue is no stranger to danger at all. So if she calling you talking about, oh, girl, you should probably not get involved, like, you should probably not get involved. Now, speaking of Rue and danger, I just don't know how much more this girl can take. Like, I don't know how much more I can take. Girl, screw her. How much can I take? Because she's just constantly in situations where I'm just like, I cannot imagine how volatile the situation is, how thin the line between safe and dead is with Rue, especially like being back in what's her name? Lori, in Lori's compound with all these sick like people and getting locked in a room. It seems from the preview like she gets out of this. Those also could be flashbacks, but I don't think they are, because I feel like she was wearing the same clothes and had the nose injury. So I think she gets out of it somehow, some way. But I'm gonna have to watch that finale through my fingers, because like, it's gonna scare the life out of me. But we have to talk about Faye in this damn safe. Now, everybody's talking about how Faye told Rue that there was money in the safe, and that of course she accused Rue of lying to her, which we know that Rue did not do. But no one's really talking about the fact that maybe there was money in the safe and the money is gone. That's what I thought, because like, I feel like Faye has been in the safe. You remember when she was doing that substance that she thought was cocaine and it was not cocaine? So I'm like, and she got that out of the safe, presumably, unless they had it sitting outside the safe for whatever reason. But I'm like, so there was probably money in that safe. And I feel like I remember during the robbery seeing some money, but I could be totally making that up. But I wonder if there is some like trust faltering between Faye and Wayne, because if there was money in the safe when she got that substance out, and then once he saw that she went in the safe, now there's no money in there, could he have taken the money out because he knew she was going in the safe? Also, money is money. They could have just taken the money out, like, to use it. Like, but I do think at some point that there might have been money in there. Now, I don't know how Faye is going to talk her way out of this. Some people were saying that maybe she would blame it on that whole, like, thing that Wayne said about having her off Rue. But I just feel like, does that really explain why you waited until she had the keys and opened the safe and was waist deep in the safe digging through stuff to wake him up? Some people were like, well, she can just say like she was gaining Rue's trust or whatever. And I'm like, I think we're giving Faye too much credit. Like, I think we're giving Faye far too much credit. It's possible that Rue just like takes off running and escapes, and then we saw in the preview there's like her in the desert and then she gets like dragged back. So I do think she gets caught, but I still feel like this doesn't really end well for Faye, and I can't really feel bad for her now after this. This was obviously a big point of conversation online, this like final scene, and I just want to give a PSA to say, put y'all's phones down when y'all watching the show, because while I will agree this season does not make sense, there are just some things I'm seeing people say that I'm just like, are y'all good? Like, there was like, why does Lori have all those IDs of the girls at Alamo's club? She's involved with sex trafficking and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, they were like, oh, she's working with Alamo on that. Like, and I'm just like, I mean, it's not impossible, but I don't think that is evidence of that. Like, it's pretty clear that was the stuff from the safe. That, like, they had a whole conversation. Rue and Faye had a whole conversation about where the stuff it was and how to access it, and like that is literally the entire reason that Rue was on the compound. You have to put the phone down when you watch the thing. I'm sorry. The Euphoria fans are going haywire. I do have a video coming out probably later today, actually, of some of the craziest like fan theories and also just regular fan theories about how this season is going to end. So make sure you check that out. Now, I have to get to the most important part of the episode for me, which was Ali's backstory and also just his involvement in the episode as a whole. Ali's backstory was so heart-wrenching. Like, I just cannot imagine one person going through that much anguish. And mind you, I'm talking about like a person who's not dealing with their own like substance abuse issues and their own sobriety journey. Like, I honestly was like baffled. Like, how could he have gone through this and stayed on the straight and narrow? All of that loss, all of that regret. Like, what I really appreciated about it was it highlighting how difficult the pandemic was for people with substance abuse issues. And like, I just feel like somebody like Ali is so necessary and is really like, I don't want to say one in a million, but like they're very, very rare, because it's just like, first of all, to overcome addiction and to overcome the kind of addiction that he was addicted to a highly addictive substance, and to come out of that, and we don't know exactly how long he's been sober. I don't think, maybe they said it earlier in the show, like in the past seasons, but he's been sober for a while, and to be able to mentor that many people and monitor them that closely, like, you could really tell that it's his life purpose and that it's part of what keeps him going. And just people like him are so important, because you saw how many people that he lost, and I feel like that is sort of a picture of what addiction is like. That's why I say people like him are so rare, not just in the way that he helps people, but also like in his survival, because like the book that he had with all those names and dates, that's the more common path. Ali is an outlier, and that's why I am just so afraid for his fate this season. I'm not gonna lie, when he was telling Rue, don't go, we'll go get your mom, or this, or that, I was like, baby, we passed that. I just did not see that working, and I know that he cares so much, and he cares enough to put himself in harm's way for his sponsees, but I just felt like it's just not even like, I don't want to say worth it, because I don't mean that Rue is not worth it, but I just mean like a lot of people think that he is going to die and that he's going to sacrifice himself for Rue. But I just feel like if he sacrifices himself for Rue, the only way that would even remotely be worth it is if he does it and then Alamo and his people immediately get taken down, like immediately in that moment. Because, okay, he sacrifices himself for Rue, Ali dies. What's going to stop them from after he dead killing Rue and her mama anyway? So I just feel like, please, dude, I feel like Ali is the one person in the season that I'm like, please, nothing happened to that man. Also, I do not trust Rue to carry on his work in the capacity that he was doing it. So, like, I'm sorry, girl. I will say I'm not much of a predictions person. Of course, I get, like, ideas of what might happen. But a lot of the things that I thought were going to happen in this season didn't, besides the whole outcome with Maddie and Alamo. So I'm hoping that because I'm getting the feeling that Ali is going to pass away, that he will not. We shall see. Now I have to point out one really big highlight from this episode, which is that we saw no Jules. The way it did not even register to me until I had finished the episode and got on Threads that Jules called Rue. When I saw her phone vibrating, I don't know why, in my head, I thought Rue. Like, I thought Rue was calling that guy, because that's how much I'm blocking out Jules from this season. I looked and saw her name. Like, when I saw somebody, I saw a thread about it, was like, oh, why was Jules calling Rue? And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I saw the phone ring, but that was Rue calling and then I was like, wait a minute, that did say Jules. I literally blocked that out of my memory. This could possibly be a you were right situation. I still feel like there was something weird and off about the sugar daddy guy. Why he rapping you with saran wrap, like, that was weird. So maybe something went left with them. I honestly don't really care. I mean, they can include it in the finale just because they really should. Like, that shouldn't be the last we see of Jules. But I'm not necessarily craving it. I feel similarly about Lexi. I think her behavior in this past episode was very harsh. I know people brought up in a past season when Rue said some really, really harsh things to Lexi as well. So, like, yeah, I'm not saying that, Rue is innocent in all of this, but I just felt like the comment about her mom was super duper unnecessary. It also came out of left field. Like, it did not feel like it had a place in that particular conversation at all. But like I said, I already know how I feel about Lexi. I don't dislike her character at all. I feel like she needs to branch out a little bit. Like, nobody's holding you hostage in these relationships, even with your sister, to be honest. And somebody was like, because I said that on Threads, and somebody was like, oh, well, she doesn't really hang out with them, whatever. I'm like, no, in that conversation with Rue, she had the whole rundown of everything that everybody in the group was up to. So she's obviously still speaking to them. She's obviously privy to what they got going on in their lives. Like, it wasn't like public information, the stuff that she was saying. So she's still tapped in, and I just hate that for her. Like, girl, find some new friends. You're in LA. Go outside. Sorry if this video felt like a little bit of a roller coaster. I am on a huge time crunch right now, and I just wanted to get it out. But regardless, we made it, y'all. We made it to the finale. That's all I have for this video. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about episode 7 in the comments. Here are my social media handles. You can follow me there if you'd like, including on my main channel where I post video essays through a historical lens. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell icon so that you get a notification whenever I get off my butt and post a video. And when I post my Euphoria finale predictions video later on today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.